What's up, everybody? Welcome to Podcast Now. I'm Alex. In this video, I'm going to be previewing Jumanji: The Next Level. Now, Jumanji: The Next Level comes out in theaters on December 13th. So, I'm going to cut right to the chase on this one. I loved the last Jumanji movie. Okay, Jumanji: Welcome to the Jungle. I thought that movie was absolutely amazing. Obviously, I think it caught the world by storm. I don't think anybody expected that movie to do as well as it did and also make as much money as it did. That movie absolutely, really did. It broke the entire world. It broke the box office, too, at $962 million. It almost cracked $1 billion. Absolutely insane. This movie, I'll be also quite honest with you, the first trailer, and the first time I watched the first trailer, I'm still 100% seeing this, whether it's night one or basically the next day. I'm going to see this very, very soon once it's actually released. I was a little worried about it, though, because there's not just also the fact that I really didn't think the first trailer was all that good. There's also the thought in the back of my head of, can they really repeat what they did with that first movie again? Can they capture that magic twice? That is insanely, insanely difficult. However, if there's anybody that's going to do it, it's literally going to be this group. And to be honest with you, my fears were kind of calmed down a little bit, because the second trailer, or the final trailer, whatever they're calling it, that trailer looked a lot better. And really, every time I did see the first trailer again, over and over again, I started to like it more and more. So, to be honest with you, I'm not all that worried about this film. I'm not even close to being as worried about it as I was, say, 2 months ago. I think the changing their characters, changing, The Rock and Kevin Hart, changing everybody, basically, who they are, except for Karen Gillan, I think that is a very, very bold choice. I think that's kind of what turned me off to this movie, the first trailer, originally, is because, okay, well, I like it. I get what they're doing. I think it's going to be very funny at times. But I just, that's the first sign of, ooh, maybe they knew they couldn't capture the magic, giving them the exact same characters, so they didn't want to. At the same time, we find out from the second trailer that they're back, that they actually do switch back to their original, the first movie's bodies, which is really, really cool. So, to be honest, I'm way more up for that. I'm more up for, if they want to do a split, if The Rock wants to play Danny DeVito and Kevin Hart wants to play Danny Glover, go ahead, do that. As long as it's not the full movie, as long as hopefully you switch back at some point and you give us a little bit of the magic of the first movie, while also trying to obviously recreate and do things brand new again, that's fine. That's fine. I honestly feel like it's gonna work. And on top of that, you have a seriously strong cast. The same cast as you had in the first movie, but now even more pumped up, right? You got the core four, all of them awesome in their own ways. We could talk forever why The Rock's awesome, why Kevin Hart's awesome, why Jack Black is awesome, and why Karen Gillan is awesome. They're all insanely talented actors and actresses. They're all super, super good. And then you add in, again, kind of the extra, or the new group with Danny Glover and Danny DeVito. Solid. I don't think people were really expecting that to happen, but that's a solid group. Having Nick Jonas and also having the high school kids come back as well, it's going to be really good. I really do think that this movie, is it going to make almost $1 billion? I don't know. I really don't think it can do. I don't know. I don't know what made that first movie even so amazing, or so catching off guard. I thought it was just really, really solid. There were laughs, there was energy, you could feel chemistry between all the characters. They all obviously work really well together. They all work really well just on their own, being, again, talented people. So you got that. The idea was really, it wasn't the most crazy thing in the world, right? A lot of people could come up with what they did story wise. A lot of people could come up with what they did in that movie, but it had heart. It had maybe not necessarily respect. As that movie got closer to coming out, there was actually a lot of negativity about it, being are they respecting Jumanji? They're making it a video game. The way they're doing it, are they handling it the right way? Could they? I think people are even saying could they have just made this a different movie and not called it Jumanji? That was a running thing. Movie came out, it did absolutely insane, and now nobody's really saying that again, right? A lot of people are going to be people are just okay, I think I'm going to shut up about that idea because it was just awesome. Was it the greatest thing ever? No, it wasn't. It wasn't the greatest movie I've ever seen. It just had kind of everything you want, I think, from a movie. I just think it had a lot of things that you want from a movie in general, and it did them all really solid. I don't think it really did anything absolutely amazing. It wasn't the funniest movie ever created. It wasn't the most action-packed movie ever created. It didn't have like the most emotional moments ever. Like, you know what I mean? It wasn't the top of its class at any one specific thing it did, but every aspect of the film it did really solid, and it's hard to find a film like that. You know what I mean? And again, like, it's a film that kind of fills a specific kind of viewership. You know, if you're going into a movie, like, it fills a specific like checkbox. Like, okay, I want to see this kind of movie. Oh, well, this movie has it. I want to see this kind of movie. This movie has it. It reminds me a lot, honestly, in a way of like Fast and Furious, where Fast and Furious isn't the greatest movie series of all time. I think it's really good. I love that series, but especially, you know, these last couple movies, really 5, 6, 7, 8, again, like, they have a lot of check marks. They have a lot of like, okay, this is what I want to see from a movie. Does it do anything insanely well? Maybe like the stunts, right? The cinematography, like the over-the-topness. It does that probably really good, but everything else is just kind of solid, and it just weirdly works all together. That's probably the best way of saying it. It just works. Don't question it. Just something about that movie magic. It all comes together, and Jumanji, again, Welcome to the Jungle, had that, right? We can't necessarily say like why did all those things work so well together. They just did, and it was a really solid adventure. This one, again, I feel like I'm really cautious about this movie because, again, the way I've kind of gone about being excited for it. And if you haven't been able to tell by now, these aren't really previews. They're more me talking about how excited or how not excited I am about something coming out. That's how all of these have been. Just wanted to throw that out there towards the end of this video. But the way I've gone from being not really like cautiously optimistic, but also being like pretty cautious and being like, well, I don't know, to then being like, okay, you know what, I'm not so worried about this. I feel like I need to kind of tone it down a little bit because and I feel like this just in general, if you go into this movie expecting, again, the same kind of magic the first movie had, I just don't know. There's very few movies that can do that, that have that kind of magic for the first movie. And I mean magic in terms of like shockingly good, like not what we all expected, and also money-wise. And I don't know if it can do that twice. Can it be just as good? Can it still have the same kind of level of moments where like we're laughing quite a bit? The action is very solid. The characters are very likable. They all work really well together. Like, everything's just good about this movie. Can they do that again? Can they have 2 movies back to back? And then also, when it comes out, is it going to make us much money? Are we going to see a movie that gets 900+ million again? Or is this a movie that's going to get like 600 million and it's like, well, still really good. They still doubled their money. They made their money back, and then they made even more. But it didn't do like as amazing as we kind of thought it would. You know what I mean? So there are some worrisome things here. That's for sure. Coming out a week before Star Wars, that's a big one too. But I believe the last Jumanji came out also within a week of Star Wars, The Last Jedi, and obviously that didn't matter at all. They almost made the same amount of money. There was really only $200 million separating the two, and that's pathetic if you think about it from Star Wars' point of view. Again, I'm not really actually worried about Star Wars affecting this box office wise. They're each their own movies. I think a lot of people will actually see both. I think people would probably have more fun seeing Jumanji than seeing the Rise of Skywalker, depending on how the Rise of Skywalker does. So we'll have to see. I'm really excited for it. I can't wait to watch it. At the same time, I am, a little concerned. I'm not majorly concerned. I was way more concerned like 2-3 months ago. I'm still a little concerned, but I'm not like going crazy thinking this is going to be a terrible movie. I think it's going to be a good movie that probably just doesn't capture the magic the same way or as much as the first movie did in general, right? So guys, let me know in the comments below. What do you think? Are you excited for this Jumanji movie? Did you see the last one? Do you not care about them at all? I know some people do watch these videos and say like, no, it's just not for me. That's totally cool. Let me know if that's your viewpoint in the comments below. Make sure you guys subscribe to our YouTube channel podcast now. Hit that bell icon so you guys know when these videos go up. And thank you, as always, for watching. I hope to see you on the next movie preview.